Hi, and welcome back to the No Matter What Club. In this episode, we welcome Melissa Young to the podcast. Melissa has been a realtor in the Chicagoland area for 10 years and is the leader of the Melissa Young Group, an all-queer real estate organization. She has also been a singer and an actor for the last 30 years and is known as the singing realtor. She loves bringing joy to her clients. Melissa got sober March 18th, 2002, and 24 years later is still going strong. Melissa sponsors people, has a home group, Monday night, the Grapevine meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and has volunteered as a part of the Chicago Roundup for over a decade. She is proudly serving as this year's chair and happy to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Chicago Roundup. Let's take a listen. Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the No Matter What Club. We are so excited to have Melissa Young on the podcast today.
Oh, hi.
Hi,
Hey.
Melissa. Also joining us is my beautiful husband and co-owner of No Matter What Recovery, Anthony. And then our program director of our Chicago location, Thomas Allen.
Hey,
Yay,
Thomas.
Thomas.
So, Melissa, we have just had the honor and privilege of getting to know you over the last few years. And you're somebody that I feel like is really visible within the Chicago recovery community.
A little bit, yeah.
You want to tell us about that?
I got sober in Chicago, March 18th of 2002.
Oh, wow.
And I had a sponsor who was very much like get in the middle of the boat immediately. And so I think I was, a greeter like within 30 days of recovery. And
What's a
have
greeter?
been- A greeter is someone who greets people as they come to the meeting, and you hug them and you say welcome, or, try to like gauge whether they want to hug or not, or ask like, are they open to a hug, and then like hug them and welcome them to the meeting. And I don't know, I think that when I first went to meetings and there were people there welcoming me, that was, I don't know, it just makes you feel like, oh, okay, like I'm not going to catch fire. It's all right, And so I think that, I was a greeter pretty quickly. And then I've just been involved ever since, because Sabrina said to get in the middle of the boat. And so I did, and I have, and I keep staying. So, and it's just kind of crazy. The more I think about it, I'm like, 2002 was a long time ago. Like my sobriety can almost get a rental car for cheaper. You know what I mean? And that's crazy. Like it was very funny when when my sobriety turned 18 and people like, oh, your sobriety can vote. No, 21. Oh, you can drink. And I'm like, haha, never. And then no matter what, haha. But now I'm like, oh, that's like, that's a lot of years, but I'm not there yet. I'm at 24 and I live in today. So, but yeah. So I've just been in the middle of the boat, and it was just really important to me. The responsibility statement in AA, I used to go to a responsibility meeting, like whenever anyone anywhere reaches out for help, I want the hand of AA to always be there. And for that, I am responsible. And I took that to heart at like a level that, I had to go to Al-Anon, but like at a level that was really deep, that, oh, I want this to be here for everyone. So I make sure it is.
I mean, I feel like we kind of have that same mentality of like, or I do at least, where I'm like, I want to save everybody,
Yeah.
and especially working in the behavioral health field. There were some moments within my career of working in behavioral health where whenever a client would relapse or something would happen, I would be like, what are we doing wrong? Like, how
Right.
can we change? What do we need to change? How can we fix this? Like, do we need to put more restrictions in place, or, do we need to change our programming, and it would turn into this thing. And I just had to realize that, like, when the time has come, the miracle happened.
Right. And that's the piece of it, and that's the gift that Al-Anon gave me. Was that it allowed me to be like, oh, like I have to allow people the dignity of their own experience, and I can like give them the tools, and I can tell people what worked for me if they're open to that. But I can't save everyone. People have to like have that desire to want, or like, even if this doesn't work for everybody, if how I work a program doesn't work for everybody, that's fine. When they're ready, they're ready. And when they want when the time is right, like you said, the miracle will happen, and you have to let go and trust that old HP. Come on, magical fairies in the sky, let's go.
Speaking of meeting people where they're at, when you look at more than 2 decades of recovery for somebody like me, who at one point struggled in his sobriety, what do you have any magic sauce or
Yeah,
anything that got you to 20 years? Because that seems so daunting for somebody who might be struggling early on.
Yeah, the thing that my I did go to 90 meetings in 90 days. Like I did all of that, but my second sponsor, he gave me the wonderful gift of Hocus Pocus, change your focus, because it's like a dog with a bone, and like I get hooked on the thought, I get hooked on the idea that the only solution is to use, the only solution is to go back out, and that's Hocus Pocus, change your focus. And I would call and I'd be like, I don't know, I think I want to use, I don't know, and he would go do something else, do your dishes, walk around the block, call somebody else, because there's always that like call another addict, call another alcoholic. Nothing like protects you more than like working with others. But there's also this like, just do something else. If you're like sitting on your couch going, I'm going to use, and the behavior chain, you know, like, so there's so many steps before the use. So there's the thought, and then you have to get up. You have to put on your pants if you're not wearing pants. Usually I'm not wearing pants. So you have to put on pants, and then you have to like go to the door. You have to put your hand on the door. You have to turn the door. You have to open the door. There are so many steps between you and that first drug, that first hit, the first thing. There are so many times that you can change your mind. Yeah. Hocus Pocus, change your focus. Yeah. Just change your focus. Like if I'm so focused on using, that's all I can do. And it's the idea that had to be introduced to my brain. Someone had to even say it. And like my sponsees say it all the freaking time. And I'm always like, Will said it first. And then Will's like, I didn't say it first. It came from my sponsor. And, you know, and it's very much that chain that like things have been passed down, but Hocus Pocus, change your focus, and behavior chain. If you think of all the steps between you, there's so many choices, so many times. Like you can be like at the door of your user's house. They can be like downstairs and just don't buzz them in. Like there are so many times you have a choice. You have choices throughout every part of it. And it's up to you to make those choices, you know? Hocus Pocus, change your friggin' focus, yo.
I think that even transcends to beyond just drinking and using, right?
Yeah,
like,
it does.
because one of my sayings is change your thinking, change your life.
Yes.
Right? And if you have the same negative thinking all the time, of course that's what's going to come your way because that's your intention.
Correct.
Right? But if you intend something positive and keep thinking that on a daily basis, you're going to change your life for the positive.
Yeah, because even when the world is burning, even when the world is falling down, if you can find something to be grateful for, like I'm going to make it, this is silly, I'm always grateful for my nose. I live for my nose. I think it's the cutest thing ever. I grew it myself, thank you. But like, I'm always like, you know, right? Yeah, thanks parents. But like, I'm like, okay, the world is falling. And I've been through tragedy in 24, like life has happened in 24 years. And every time I'm like, oh, it's the bottom of the barrel. Like there is like a moment, like just a few years ago where I'm like on the floor of my apartment sobbing, and like a friend in program's like, what the fuck do you want? And I'm like, I don't know. It just hurts. It's just like, yeah, it's going to fucking hurt. What? And it was just so crazy, but we were together in it. And I lived through that. And and like all the people who kept coming back before me, like the sponsor I mentioned who gave me Hocus Pocus, change your focus, he's got 39 years. My current sponsor has 41 years. And they're still here, and they're going to meetings, and they're crying, and they're having feelings, and they go out in the world, and they're regular, ordinary people, all because they had all this time to be like, be grateful today. I lost my job. I lost my spouse. I lost everything. I have no money. I have no place to live. Like I'm one of those people that in program, I almost got evicted sober at 7 years of recovery. Cause 2008 happened in the market crash and everybody lost their job. And I was sober through all of that, and I couldn't eat, and I didn't have enough money, and people in program paid for my rent, and they paid for groceries. They took me to the grocery store, and all of those things that if I'm just honest, I just stayed through it all. Like, just wait. Just freaking hold on for one more day. Okay, Wilson Phillips?
Okay.
But like, if you're right, like if I focused on all of the darkness, because there's a lot of darkness. I went to an intensive outpatient program for trauma at 17 years of recovery, because that's what I needed to do.
Wow.
But there's so much darkness. And if I get like caught in the darkness, that's where you'll stay. But there's always light. Nose.
So much to unpack there, Melissa. I want to go back to you saying that you checked into treatment at 17 years sober. Tell us about what that was like for you.
So it was, I had someone else in program who had done it. And they're one of my closest friends, still are to this day. They now live in San Francisco. They've made choices, and miss them every day. They went and did it. And they were like, you need to do this. and I went to my therapist and I was like, hi, so my friend did this thing. They did an intensive like partial hospitalization for trauma. And she went, yes, I think you need to do that. Yes. And I was like, I do? And she's like, yes. And then to like come and find out that, and it was just really humbling, number one. And I did walk in with my ego first, being like, 17, what, you know? And then it was very much like, oh, I have to remain teachable. And, you know, and I'm not a big book thumper, and I feel like I've already quote program stuff all the time, but it does say we never belittle the work of a good doctor or psychiatrist. And it says that from 1934 in the big book. There it is. We never belittle the good work of a doctor or psychiatrist. And so I was so grateful that I did that, but it was really dark and I kept reacting to things that weren't currently happening. I was disassociating while I was driving, and I'm a realtor, so I live in my car, and I would be driving and I'd come to like a mile away from my house, I'm like, what has happened? And I was just disassociating. It was very scary. And so that's when, and I was, again, like I would like find myself like being really upset about things that were very benign, and that I was reacting to things that weren't currently happening. So, and there's a piece of me that like, I don't know what happened. And my therapist at the time said, well, just because you have feathers and a bill and some webbed feet, even if you don't have a duck, you can still say it's a duck. So just because I don't have any of the evidence of why, and my sister has the same thing, that we have this black spot in our history, and we don't need to pick at it. I don't need to look at it. All I know is that I have the trauma responses to all of those things that occurred. And then like, you know, got in relationships with some folks, and like all of those buttons got pushed, and I was like, blah, 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 fire, fire, fire. I don't know what's happening. And it was really, I think that's, I don't want to say it saved me, because I don't know that I was at risk of using, but I was probably at risk of unaliving myself, to be honest, because it was so dark. But there's always light, and I stayed. And because I was willing to say I'm uncomfortable, and my friend was willing to be like, you need to do this too, because I did it and it changed me. And I did it, and it was the next piece in my recovery, remaining teachable, I think, and being willing to suggestions from people I trust. You know, like I'm not going to like take suggestions from like, you know, someone like anybody, but like someone who I've developed a long-term relationship in recovery with. Because I stayed, I was able to hear the suggestion, and I'm grateful for it.
And you just made me think of what I was going to ask you before. So, you know, there are so many times in my recovery where, since I've been sober, where some incredibly challenging times have happened, like the death of a parent,
Right.
the loss of a child, right? Like these are things that like I thought would consume me to the point of like maybe using, but you know, sobriety has taught me too to walk through difficulties with grace.
Yeah.
Right. And, or remaining teachable, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is happening to me right now. What am I supposed to be learning from this? I mean, for me, those situations were, what I needed to learn was that I can walk through difficulties in life and still stay sober.
Right.
Right. And that's so important. And it's because of, you know, my fellows and the rooms and sobriety and my therapist and that has helped me, have been those angels that have guided me through difficult times, and some other angels too.
Well, and especially as like LGBTQ plus people, we come to the table with a bucket of trauma. We just do. Like society hands it to, oh, hi, here you go, trauma. Good luck. Best of luck. So we come to the rooms with all of the, you know, beside the, you know, alcoholism or drug addiction, like we come with the other isms around, and you take those things away. And that's what they, you know, say in Alcoholics Anonymous, you take away the alcohol, you're left with the ism. And so my ism features trauma. My ism features darkness. And I've experienced, you know, like loss of a job, nearly being homeless or being unhoused, and, you know, death of my uncle, who was one of the closest parent figures to me, like a male identifying parent that I really, really was very close to. And it was so sad. But I have seen people in program, like there's this gentleman who used to go to a Friday night meeting that I went to, and I'll never forget, his partner died, his long-term partner. He like had cancer for a long time, and he like shared about it. And I remember after his partner died, and he had like 30 years. It wasn't like, you know, he'd been around a long time, and he sat there in that Friday night meeting during every burning desire for 2 years. And he would raise his hand and say, I'm struggling. I miss, and his partner's name. And he would talk about the shirts in the closet and all these things. And he did it for 2 years. And then one day he didn't raise his hand, and he just stayed sober. And it makes me emotional every time I think of it, because I know that was early in recovery. And I know that's the reason I got to stay sober was watching him go through that, watching him stay and say, I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be sober. I don't know what to do. I keep coming back. And he just didn't pick up. And he cried and he cried and he cried. And then one day he didn't. And he's still sober and ridiculous and loves a Hawaiian shirt. So,
I know Paulo has a story of somebody that inspired him in recovery and regarding education.
Oh yeah.
And
it's actually Thomas's sponsor.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one of the things that I love that they say in the rooms, and again, this isn't like a 12-step podcast, but it is recovery focused, and so I do want to make that that kind of
distinction.
Because this is a program of attraction rather than promotion. So we are by no means promoting 12-step recovery.
Right,
However,
right.
we just all have a lived experience
12
where
step, yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for the rooms of recovery. But with that, there's a woman of trans experience named Desiree. I think she actually spoke at the Roundup a few years ago.
Yeah, I think so too.
And she's Thomas's sponsor. And I had a 9th grade education. I started using when I was 15. So I had a 9th grade education. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, Desiree was sharing that she went back to school. And in my head, I'm like, for a woman that has had all the cards stacked against her entire life to be able to go back and get an education, maybe it's something I should consider.
Yeah.
And I say this to her all the time. I went back to school because I saw her do it.
Aww.
It's the thing that I love in the rooms is like, if you have what we want, you do what we do.
Yeah.
And I believe that very candidly because I wasn't given a rule book. And similar to what you said with the bucket of trauma, right? Like, it's like, I could make a list as long as the set of all of the things that happened that impacted how I navigated life,
Right.
with my maladaptive coping strategies, or how I navigated relationships, or how I navigated finance. Like, I had no life skills. I've been on the street since I was 15 years old. All I knew how to do was hustle and have transactional relationships. Like, that was my life.
Yeah.
And as I got sober, and a lot of people are like, why are we opening no matter what in Chicago? And for me, I got sober in Chicago in 2006. I found out something health-wise that was really traumatic for me. Right after I moved here, I was diagnosed with HIV when I was 17 years old. At Howard, I was at Howard Brown. I was at the Illinois Masonic Hospital in the ICU with a hose in every hole in my body, my spinal meningitis. Again, Hurricane Katrina had just happened.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I was living on the street. My parents kicked me out when I was 16. We have a beautiful relationship today, I will say, but it took a lot of work. And so like I walked into my first meeting of Crystal Meth Anonymous on Friday night at Howard Brown Health Center. And there were some core people in that room in the Chicago recovery community who are still here today.
Yes, they are.
And they taught me not only how to have life skills, but they taught me how to live with integrity. They taught me, things that you don't even imagine. I never had a bank account. The people in the program took me to the bank and said, this is what you need to get.
Right?
I had never had a job. Howard Gelb dressed me for my first job interview. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the in sobriety, that's that bumper sticker slogan, you get a life beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
I was a street kid and a sex worker at 16 years old.
Yeah.
And the life that I have today, I could have never ever imagined for myself.
Oh yeah.
And even in sobriety, like when I first got sober, and I'm going to pass it over to Thomas in a second, because I'm sure you have a beautiful story to add to this, and I think it's really relevant. At 16 years old, I'm sorry, when I got sober this last time, I think I might have shared this on a previous podcast, but I was 2 years sober, and nothing was going right. I was sponsoring people, I was working, I was like, I was still paying restitution charges for probation fees. I had no money at 2 years sober. I was working my ass off to make minimum wage, commuting in LA, 2 hours each way to work. I was working for someone that I had hired in my previous sobriety, and so getting sober is uncomfortable and it's humbling, and that's just what it is. But I remember calling my sponsor and I was like, where the fuck are my promises? Everybody has these cash and prizes and I'm sitting here
Right.
like, I'm doing the work. I'm going to meetings. I'm of service. I have sponsees. I call you every day. I do gratitude lists. Like I do all this shit and like, I have nothing to show for it. And he just laughed at me.
Yeah.
you know? And he's like, I promise you that if you do the next indicated step and you keep doing the right thing, your life will change.
Yeah. Yeah. When I first got sober, I had a therapist that made me come to, made me get sober. She was literally like, I won't see you anymore if you don't go. Just go to 12 step. And I was like, why? I don't need it, you know, and everything you do. And she said, look, I just need you to go to 90 meetings in 90 days. And if your life isn't different, I'm not saying better. I'm not saying a miracle. I'm saying different. If your life isn't different in 90 days, I'll shut up and never bring it up again. But if you don't try, I will never see you again. And at that point, the woman that I paid weekly was the only person that was willing to talk to me. And she wasn't wrong. In 90 days, my life was different. You know, and if you say another 90 days, your life gets even more different. And then the magic, I wanted cash and prize as Santa Claus promises too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, where my promises at?
Right.
And I didn't have them for a long time,
Yeah.
but I kept coming back and I'm still here.
I mean,
And
I
then
know,
Thomas.
I know you have a similar kind of experience too with getting sober and
Yeah, so I was first introduced to recovery from my ex's parents. So who I was heavily in my addiction with in Sacramento. You know, his dad was 20-something years in sobriety.
Wow.
Yeah, and his parents saw me and my ex just being a mess. But like one day he was like,
Messy
"I'm gonna
boots."
messy boots," and one day he was just like, we're gonna take you to a meeting," and that was my first time ever going to a meeting.
Oh, wow.
Like I always knew about recovery, I always knew about meetings, but I never really delved into it, and so that's what planted the seed for me. You know, I didn't get sober from that meeting right off the bat.
Yeah.
It took some time, you know, but I think that's what it is too, is like planting that seed into somebody who's never like experienced a meeting or know about recovery. And that's
Yeah.
really what got, and I say it, and I have such a close relationship with them to this day still.
Yeah.
You know, and it's crazy, like even with the midst of me moving to Chicago, like they sent me a card saying congratulations and we're so proud of you, and it's just like, yeah, but like that's really what lit the fire. And but yeah, it's taken time. I think what it also is like what my sponsors always said to me too, and I loved how you said this too, even after 17 years of sobriety, how you still knew that there were some things that you needed to work on when it came down to trauma too as well. Like this is an ongoing journey. Like, and that's what it was for me, and the understanding of like I remember when I got a year sober, I was like, okay, I'm gonna hit this year sober and it's gonna be this aha moment. And it was just like, no, you're just sober at a year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But I think what the beauty within my sobriety too is there's like each year, and what my sponsor said, it's like chapters. Like each chapter you're gonna go through, you're gonna find out something new about yourself. So like even within this past 2 years of dealing with, you know, loss of like, you know, a friend and, you know, grandparents and, you know, my stepmom, and my sister lost her husband from like a tragic event, which was very traumatic for our family. You know, it's just the understanding of just like you just go right through it too, and like how you go through it as a sober man. You know, and I heard this in a meeting once, is how do I deal with life on life's terms without using substances? I don't know why that hit me so hard, and it stayed with me today in sobriety.
Yeah.
It's just like, how do I get through these times in life? You know, because this is gonna happen. You know, sobriety is beautiful, but there is some dark moments still that you have to deal with, and
Yeah.
how do you get through those moments without using? You have that support. You talk to your sponsor. You know, you utilize those tools you learn in early recovery to get to the point where, you know, all of us hope to get over 20 years of sobriety.
Yeah. I
You know?
wish, I would tell everybody, I wish you a long, slow recovery. You know?
There was
I was so grateful that like today looking back, I'm so grateful I didn't get everything back at 2 years.
Me too.
Because I would have lost it immediately.
Yeah, because I would have been
And
like,
so
haha, got
at
it,
the-
bye.
At the time, I hated it. It was, again, getting sober, and I'm going to look at my camera. Getting sober is uncomfortable, and there's a lot of things that happen, and it's the most beautiful, uncomfortable process in the entire world.
That
Sorry.
part.
Totally.
What were you
Yeah.
going to say,
the
babe?
reason why I was kind of threading this needle about when you were talking about that, you know, that one person who had great loss, but they inspired you, right? And then
Absolutely.
for you, that one person that kind of gave you that, those words that you needed to hear. And then that one person that just drove you. Like, there's so many times in life when there is that mentor, that sponsor, that angel, whoever, whatever you want to call them, that is making a difference in your life. And they're not setting out to make a difference. They're just leading with love, right? And so, you know, when I just think that's so important that we all make a difference, and we don't even realize it sometimes. And it's so important to like just keep trudging the road like you have been doing, like you do, you know, just to give somebody hope.
You know, somebody said that, a client said that to me one time in a group. They're like, why do you do what you do? And I said to him, the reason why I do, and a lot of it is like, one, it keeps me sober, yes, in some sense. But what I love about my job is that there are people in my early recovery and treatment centers that I went to that, you know, planted that seed, that are like pivotal people in my life that have gotten me to where I'm at today. And I have such these close relationships to. So that's what I go like, you know, when I go into this, when I go into work or anything along the lines of that, I want to be that person for that person that is struggling. Like that is I want to be that for them. Well,
it's important that there's a whole variety of humans in the rooms, that like all of us represent a different lived experience. And like there was no way in my world that I ever would have been in a room with that person who was struggling and had lost his partner. There's no way that I would have ever, like, there's no way, nowhere in a universe had I not gotten sober that our lives would have ever crossed. And even the person who got me into trauma recovery, there's no way. Like, I was like an actor struggling, you know, doing that and like, you know, hanging out with, doing what I was doing. And and like there's no way, and like they're like business professionals. Like there was no way I was gonna be in a room with a business professional while I'm like waiting at a cattle call to like sing my little 16 bars, you know? And so it's like, it's that piece of it that like, but also like watching people go through great tragedy and great joy and the ordinariness of life too. People being bored and like, it's all the shades of gray in between the darkness and the light that I think get me to 24, you know, and long, slow recovery. Slow, y'all. Here to slow. Look at the snail. She going.
I love that we're talking about this because I really feel like, you know, as 4 people, and we all have different amounts of sobriety, and we're all at different places in our journey. And I just love that I know that the people we are today are not the people we were when we walked in the door.
Totally.
One of the things that you also brought up that I think I really want to talk about is you were saying that I love this bucket of trauma that you would refer to.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about No Matter What Recovery, and when we talk about the program offerings that we have, we are built out specifically to address challenges within the LGBT community. So when you say that bucket of trauma that the LGBT folks carry, you know, the thing that differentiates us from other programs is that we are equipped to handle, or we have the knowledge and the experience to be able to walk through some really heavy stuff with our patients that maybe some other facilities just don't know. Like, we don't specialize in veterans. We don't specialize in firefighters, but we do specialize in LGBTQ affirming care. And why I think that's important is, you know, say that you identify as non-binary, you have a challenged relationship with your family, you have 0 resources when getting sober, you have to be able to utilize your family support to help finance your treatment, and your parents are calling you by your dead name. As a treatment team, we are very familiar with this process and know how to navigate it. We know how to do observed urine analysis screenings with this individual. We know how to house them appropriately. We know how to find them gender affirming care. We know how to make sure that if they want to explore trans affirming care, we're able to navigate all of that. Whereas like if someone with a LGBT bucket of trauma or, you know, a bucket of trauma that's influenced by being queer walks into a facility that may not, and they probably have the best intentions, but they just may not know how to address the specific needs of that community.
Yep.
And I think that's what makes us really, really unique, is because we're able to address those things, right? Like if someone a chemsex addict comes in to a treatment center that doesn't have any idea what Grindr is or Sniffies is, you know what I mean?
Forget it.
It's so you know, I think that's what makes our program so unique. And I really wanted to highlight that because I think it's really important what you said By the way, I never asked your pronouns. How do you identify?
I'm she, her. But when I'm in drag, I'm he, him.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing your drag name?
Jackson Masters. Thank you so much.
Okay, Jackson Masters.
Yes. And I am like hyper femme on the out of drag world, but I am all boy when I am in drag for sure.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
How did your name come about?
Jackson Masters. Jackson Masters came from this is a terrible story, but I was working on a show and we were hanging lights and it was the light focus, and it was when Grindr was new, and everybody was on Grindr while we were focusing the lights, and you could hear the breep 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 breep, and I was like, "What is happening?" And they all told me what it was, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's ridiculous." They're like, "Oh, make a profile," and so I did, and I was a catfish. But this is a great story. So I was a catfish, and so we named him right then and there, and it became Jackson Masters. And then he kind of became this legend in the theater community a little bit because I was on Grindr. And then I had a sponsee who was having a really hard time at chemsex and was really struggling with relapse because of Grindr, like what
Jackson
their relationship.
Masters found him at
right, but then I was like, he was talking to me, and I was like, I'm on Grindr. And they were like, "What are you even talking about?" And like I opened, they're like, "I think I tried to chat with you." I'm like, "I think you did too." And so it kind of became this weird. But anyway, so Jackson, full disclosure for everybody who didn't know, came from a joke that I was doing at a light hang with a bunch of theater people that weren't even in program, and I was fully sober. And so Jackson came from that, and the first name was Jackson because I was watching Sons of Anarchy at the time, and the lead character's name is Jackson. And I thought he was like all the things, and like I wanted to be super cool. And so it was Jackson. And then Masters I don't know. I was just like, whatever, it's badass. It's totally hot.
Do you ever go on Grindr just for like cosplay and like?
No, not anymore. Not since the sponsee.
Just when she needs to hunt down sponsee.
But Jackson Masters is a looker.
Oh yeah, I showed the picture.
I saw Jackson Masters and I was like,
oh.
Yeah, Jackson.
Okay.
What it do?
Is a lot of folks, so it's very funny to me. My girlfriend, on the other hand, is not. It's like, "No, I don't like you with a beard," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Jackson's hot," and she's like, "Nope." And I'm
so
like,
when I do drag, and I try to kiss Tony, he indulges, but
Yes.
Well, it's not like a
He's the
wet
same way.
like
She's
French
like,
kiss.
"All
Yeah.
right."
It's like a it's like.
So I have a surprise for you.
Are you ready?
I
So
don't know
one of the
anything about
things
this.
that I found out about Melissa that I'm sure you guys are going to be so excited to talk about is she is a Madonna superfan.
Oh, well, I mean,
I used to be a Madonna expert on a podcast.
Really? Oh, that's
yes,
cool.
and I toured the country with a Madonna tribute show that I do called Lucky Star.
oh, fun.
Yes, and I used to do it every year on her birthday, and I don't do it every year. I haven't done it since 2021, I think was the last time I did it in town, but I plan to do it. I probably do it in 2028 when she turns 70. So
Okay.
that'll probably be the next time I do it. But.
I mean, so I'm a product of the 80s.
Theme.
And so, she is, her music is the soundtrack of my childhood.
Yes.
But I've also, a little known fact about me, or maybe it is widely known, I have been to every Madonna tour except for 2. I haven't been to the Like a Virgin, and then I didn't go to the Girly Show, but I've been to every other one.
I've been to everyone since Girly Show.
That's amazing.
So Girly Show was the
Yeah.
first all the way to present day. So I've seen
And-
them all multiple times.
And now it's like, now, I mean, I love her and I'll always go see her, but like
Same.
now it's like, I have to go.
Have to go.
Now at this point, like I can't not go
Yes.
and like,
Yeah.
erase that claim to fame of mine.
No, I have her tattooed on my arm. So I have
What do you
Express
have?
Yourself, Don't Repress Yourself.
Oh,
So
that's
this is Madonna. That's Madonna. Express yourself, don't repress yourself. And this arm is Harvey Milk. Hope will never be silent.
So do you know that image of her from her sex book where she's hanging naked from
Yes.
a thing? So Paulo, I have a surprise for you. I just got a tattoo. No, I'm kidding.
Well, actually, one of the things that I love about, so I'm not a product. Well, I was born in the 80s,
Oh,
but
fair.
so like I'm a different era.
Millennial.
So I'm more of like the Backstreet Boys, Spice Girls, Britney Spears, Christina
all
Aguilera.
great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I that I've learned about my husband over the years is, and it gets me emotional when he talks about it, is how like Madonna's music coincided with your coming out story. And I
Yes.
think that it's really cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what part of it though. Which
Just all of it. You know, it was like as you were starting to venture into the gay bars, like it was like, you know,
Well, and I also think too that she came at a time in our history, which ironically is kind of repeating itself now.
Right.
You know, in the '80s, and she was one of the only prominent female artists, any artist that was speaking out for us and doing things for
Correct.
us. But also too, as you know, a young gay boy, I saw her femininity really powerful.
Yeah.
And when I was feeling powerless, being bullied by other guys in school or boys in school, her just her aura, her character, you know, who she was portraying depending on what video, just seemed so powerful. And I know this may sound weird to some of our listeners and viewers, but it gave me strength in a time when I was like not feeling like I mattered.
Yeah, well, in Truth or Dare, like it was the first time, like a major motion picture released in the movie theater that we went to see in the movie theater, and it had queer people on the screen kissing and like talking about queer life, just openly, and you know, like
And
Paris
flamboyancy.
and like Paris is Burning, the documentary had come out like in the 90s as well, but it was in the early 90s, and it was very much, thank you, Jenny, but it was just very like that moment of, and I knew that I had like some feelings about Madonna too, that I'm like, oh, everyone else isn't having the same feelings about Madonna. And like, it's kind of been like an ongoing joke throughout all the relationships in my life, that if Madonna came to the door and knocked and said, it's time, that they all were like, okay, cool. That's how we lose you, is Madonna. That she will come to the door and I'll be like, yes, it's time, you know, but like same thing. It's like, you see that culturally, it wasn't something that was happening in my little suburb of Philadelphia, you know, that I wasn't seeing that. Like, I think there was one out gay person at my high school,
Well,
you know?
hold on one second. We don't have to stay on this topic forever, but I do want to mention this. So the other day I shared the video Bad Girl with him.
Yes, Bad
like,
Girl, Drunk
that
Back Sick.
was like, the images are so haunting in that video.
Yes.
And it was sorry, this is probably going to be shocking to some people who are watching this, maybe my family, but that felt like me.
Yeah.
Like sleeping with person to person.
Yes, drunk by six,
Drunk by
kissing some
six,
kind
you know,
stranger's
and like
lips.
just, you know,
Yes.
one person after another. I don't want to spoil the ending of the video to you because it's cinema. It's
beautiful.
cinema, you know,
Yes.
genius.
Yes,
that
I
whole
agree.
video, and you have to watch it. Did you watch it?
I
Watch
don't-
it later.
We will
Okay.
forgive you.
Yeah,
Bad Girl,
Watch it later.
Erotica, most underrated Madonna
Yeah,
album. Best.
such a good
I think it's
album.
such a good album.
yeah.
Well, I love.
We could literally talk about Madonna forever,
I
and
was
we
holding,
will.
I was holding
we'll be
on
right
to
back.
that because I knew it would be such a great topic of conversation for you guys. Thomas, is there that artist for you that you kind of like, just has kind of like guided you throughout your life and sobriety and coming out or anything like that?
So I just recently, I didn't come out until I was 22, but in all reality, everybody knew.
So 2 years ago.
So 2 years ago, exactly.
8 minutes ago.
Exactly. Thank
Just
you.
outside.
You know, so hard being this young.
Wait, is it 8 minutes of Madonna song?
No,
minutes.
4 minutes.
Oh, sorry.
But you can play it back to back in 8 minutes. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I know, but which is crazy because this just recently happened. Is Florence and the Machine was that song that came out when she first came out. The Dog Days Are Over. It was that moment I was really coming into myself and really being comfortable of the understanding of me being a gay man. Like that was hard for me to actually come into acceptance of that. And what's great is just recently, I mean, and all through my addiction, I've always said like, I can't wait to see her in concert. And just recently I got to see her in concert, and that was
Is
such
that
a
your first time?
seeing her in concert.
Yeah. It was very recent.
It was just, it was last week.
Yeah,
We're going this week.
And it was just such a and throughout her music career too, there's just certain songs that really helped me in certain moments in my life too. Like she's one of those artists that when people say like, who's your favorite artist? Like Florence and the Machine is like one of my favorites. But like getting to see her just recently in sobriety was something that I've always like told myself, like, I can't wait till that moment where I'm like present and I can go to concerts and do things such as this. And like seeing her and her playing that song live was just everything for me. And I even told the person that I went with, I was like, you're going to see me in a whole different light.
Yeah.
So please.
Well,
There will be
get
some
ready.
feelings.
A lot of her lyrics speak to sobriety, which is, you know, so powerful for so many people and people who maybe don't realize that she's
Totally.
singing about sobriety. But you know, she is truly an artist that is magical on stage. Like, you know, there aren't a lot that are put on that magical performance, but she is definitely one of them.
Oh, I got lost.
Yeah.
I was just like
Oh,
in
this
it.
is magical.
Oh, it was just,
Yeah.
and just to have that moment and just being where I'm at in my sobriety and just like, it was just like a moment for me when I saw her in concert. I was like, oh my God, this is what it's about.
One of the things that
Yes.
Mel talks about is like having a recovery playlist, right? Because we had our music that we listened to when we were out, and so you know, as a way to kind of just reframe get into action, you know, when you were talking about touching the doorknob, opening the doorknob, opening the doorknob, that one action could be playing a song that makes us happy and that changes our
Yes.
mood. And for me, that is probably like, I have a few but like Kelly Clarkson for me is somebody that like, I just love her voice, and her music just makes me so happy, especially like her like karaoke stuff. But for me, like my recovery artist that I love to listen to, where I feel like her music really speaks to me in sobriety, is Sia. You know, it's like that, just like, I get that like 1, 2, 3 drink, like I equate that to like the 1, 2, 3 shuffle, you know, where it's like in and out and in and out, and like oh, I'm getting chills thinking about it. You know, it's just, it is and then there's that I Took a Pill in Ibiza, like that song is so great for me. Because he's like, there's this line in there where he says something like I go out on Friday. I would go out on Friday nights. I blew all my money on girls and shoes, and then he's like, and then I talked to an old timer, and my name's a reminder of a pop song people forgot, and like, I just love people turning their pain into purpose.
Oh yeah.
And it's just something that is so cool. I wish I could sing. I wish I could play an instrument. So instead, like you, I've taken up lip singing.
Yes.
Lip
Singing. Well, Jackson does sing live. So
Oh, right,
yeah.
you're a singer.
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
singer. So Jackson sings live. I will admit that I like, sometimes I'm like, no, I'm just gonna lip sync today. But like, because it's like, there's only so many like 70s tenor power ballads that a gal and a guy can sing.
Yeah,
I love a
Is
ballad.
it your Melissa voice, or do you have a Jackson?
No, there's like, it's
tone?
it's like very similar. It's like, I try to eliminate my vibrato as Jackson, and I try to sing like primarily in a lower key.
Okay.
And not use any of my upper register. But like when I do Freddie Mercury stuff, it's like,
You got to go in
you
your
got to go
Wow.
up. So
I
yeah.
can't wait to see.
Yeah.
Jackson's
I mean,
the man.
yeah, he's pretty cool. He does all right.
He's a stud.
He's like a little man that like gives BDE like you would not even believe. It's like crazy.
Well, the thing that I love
On Grinder.
Yeah.
the thing that I love is that, you know, like when we talk about just like LGBTQ affirming stuff, it's this kind of, for me, it's the art and I started doing drag. I had so much internalized homophobia when I got sober. I grew up in Louisiana, like I wasn't ever able, you know, and then also like Mask for Mask was very much that thing where like femininity just wasn't something that people found it, that I felt people found attractive. And, you know, like luckily I was able to get into a relationship with someone who champions me throughout my drag journey. But it was a way for me to really just kind of like get in touch with, bitch, I feel puss.
Right? I'm like, what's up? You know,
Have you
I'm
ever
the
done
same
drag?
way. But on the opposite side.
For a fraternity party in the early 90s.
But would you
late
do drag
80s.
today?
I mean, I would want to, but now I'm at the point where I feel like my vision of drag would be like 80s supermodels, Cindy Crawford, Linda Evangelista.
Oh.
Like when I think of drag, for me, that's what I would want to embody. But like now at 56, I'm getting too old. Like the ship has sailed.
Oh, you don't want to be everybody in the Freedom 92 video.
Exactly. Like,
Come on.
like, you know, if to look like that, I think I'd have to be a little bit younger. So I think I'm past my prime. But that would be my aesthetic.
I don't know. I
that would
think
be a
you should.
moment.
Well, you can still be your aesthetic at any age. Why are we putting a limit on that level of
I know.
glamour?
I mean, look at Madonna
Madonna.
Okay.
Coachella at
Hello.
67,
Hello.
looking amazing.
I mean, if I had to describe my drag aesthetic, I like to play an older one. So like, I love designing women.
Yeah, designing women is wonderful.
Yeah, so like I do.
That baton
well,
was on
you know, I
fire.
take advice from Dolly, and it's the bigger the tits, the smaller the waist. So,
Yes.
but like I have big shoulders, so I like having like everything that I do is big,
Yeah.
and then I like to make my waist look as small as possible because.
Yeah, so dainty.
But you know, it's given me the ability to feel my fantasy, you know, in
Yeah.
a way that is like I get to explore my femininity. I just love it. I feel like it's so empowering and
And I feel the same way about Jackson. It's the
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah.
because I'm a tiny person. I'm a tiny person. Like this is something that I tell people and they don't believe me, but I'm so small that people pick me up and move me. Like, and I can't tell you how demeaning it is as a human where people just lift me up all the time. Like they'll hug me and pick me up. Like, and it happens. Like, and it's not, and like, there's a couple folks that like do it that like I've given permission to do it. Like there's a gentleman in the rooms who does it. And if he hears that, he's going to be, oh, I've been picking you up for years. And I'll be like, no, it's fine. You had that conversation with me, but other folks just do it. And I can't tell you, I'm like, but when I'm Jackson, ain't nobody picking me up.
No one picks up
Ain't nobody
Jackson.
taking it
No.
up, you know? And there's something like, and like, I feel like that, you know, as somebody with the brain that I was born with and the level of like activism and things that I actually do in my professional career and all of that, like, I do feel it is harder to be heard as a woman. But the second I'm Jackson, everybody pays attention. And like that, I know that's a whole nother conversation about, you know, femininity and how that is dismissed in this world. But it is and sexism. But there's something about being Jackson that allows me to just be like, oh, I can take that power into Melissa. And I do, like, you know, RuPaul talks about, you know, that I definitely felt that like he gave me this permission to be as feminine as I am and still have that power and that intelligence and that ability to speak up for injustice as me. And then he doesn't speak much. He just sits there and looks good. And folks are all like, Jackson, and I'm like, what is happening? He's just this little itty bitty dude with a whole lot of attitude. And it's just, I don't know. I live for it. Same thing though. It gave me that permission and as me to let the masculine or what is historically attributed masculine side of me to be, I don't know, as powerful as I am while I'm wearing like weird dangly earrings, you know?
I love it.
You ever want to feel your fantasy, Thomas?
Of being a woman.
Of being whatever you want.
What would her name be?
Yes. Welcome to the stage.
Well,
Miss.
I always say that my alter ego is Tammy.
Tammy.
And Tammy
oh my
comes
God.
out every now and then, especially when Tammy's at a restaurant and the service is like horrible. Tammy comes out.
Oh, Tammy needs the food a certain way.
And I'm just like, ugh.
But we're nice
Tammy.
to the server.
Nice to the server,
Okay.
yes, I am.
Because you were previously a server.
I
and
was
know
a server.
that's
So,
really
and I
important.
think that's the reason why Tammy comes out so strong is because I know how it is to be. So if I don't know. If I just see Tammy comes out, it's almost like a Karen in some sense.
I don't know. I'm kind of into Tammy. Did you see the shift to Tammy?
She
Just talking about
the
Tammy?
nails, the hair.
She comes out. Tammy's a moment.
Listen, one of the things that I know that you're super proud of and we're proud of as an organization, being no matter what sponsors, is the Chicago Roundup.
Yes.
And you this year have taken on the role as chair. And
Yes.
what does that look like?
What that looks like, it's a big responsibility, and I've done it before. I was a co-chair about a decade ago, and you know I just decided to come back, and so I'm the chair of the Chicago Roundup this year, and this is the 40th anniversary of the Chicago Roundup in 1986. So it was founded in 1986, and I don't know if people know why roundups were founded, and I think that
Tell us.
I'm this person that I know I respect the shoulders upon which I stand at all times. And the roundup started in 1986 because at the start of the ongoing AIDS epidemic, the Chicago people were being kicked out of meetings. So queer people were not able to go to meetings, and they were like kicking folks out of meetings. And so everyone was like, we still need recovery. So they started the roundup, and it was the roundup of everyone who was trying to get sober. So that's NA, AA at that time, I guess would be the two fellowships. And now we have CMA and, you know, MA, and there's like so many other Al-Anon, so many other 12-step recovery programs, but it was out of necessity because people needed meetings and people were getting ostracized for being positive out of the meetings. and give a lesbian a clipboard and some duct tape and we'll make sure stuff happens. But anyway,
Okay,
so
word.
and so we just we keep it, so as a community everybody pulled together and rounded up the recovery.
Oh, that's
so that
cute.
folks
I
could
get
go
it.
to meetings. Yeah, so it's a roundup, and that's where the term roundup comes from. So the Chicago Roundup started in 1986, and it went on for a while, and then like some recovery stuff, it had like a couple years of a break, and then they got revived about 16 years ago now. It got revived. And so, yeah, it's a wonderful weekend, November 6th, 7th, and 8th at the Voco Holiday Inn at the Riverwalk. And it will be a really wonderful weekend of entertainment and speakers and workshops. And we're really proud to have No Matter What as our main sponsor. We did last year, too, when I was the vice chair. And I don't know why I got involved with the Roundup 874 years ago, and it was challenging. And there's something about being of service at this level that will change your recovery and change your life. It just does. So if you're like, oh, I don't want anything to do with that, I hear it's dramatic. It's not dramatic. It's growth. It's just constant growth when you are at this level. And as the chair, it's a lot of growth.
It's where you get to practice principles before
For personalities at a different level, at a different level. And, there are a couple, like I mentioned earlier in the podcast about, we never belittle the good work of a doctor or psychiatrist, but yes. And we don't crawl before anyone either. It's part of, it's God's people. We stand on our feet. And so I very much live in those worlds that and also patience and allowing people the dignity of their own experience. But also I'm not going to lay down and be like, yes, thank you for putting your sickness all over me. But everyone, you have this opportunity to grow because you work on a roundup and then you take all those skills out into the real world. And I think 100%. It makes you a better employee and a better worker and a better way to be of service in your community in other ways. So I got all that from working on the roundup all the time. But yes, it is a lot of work for sure, and I am.
It's so much fun, though.
It's so much fun.
It's we love it. We obviously go, and it's community, and it is the thing that I love about this roundup as opposed to some of the other ones is you either for CMA we go to CMA-LA or AALA or it usually does tie to one fellowship. And the thing that I love about the Chicago one that I think is really unique is that it features all the different fellowships, and everybody gets a space there, and everybody is seen, and you have options of what you want to go to. So if you identify as if you need an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, you can go to AA, or they have speakers from different fellowships, and I love that. I think that it promotes inclusivity. It makes everyone feel seen. Al-Anon folks get to feel seen.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's a 3-day event?
It's a 3-day event. So it starts Friday at 4 o'clock is when registration opens, and then it ends with a Sunday brunch and a Sunday speaker as well. But it's all day Saturday.
Queers love brunch.
And we love a brunch. And it's LGBTQ plus focused, obviously. It is supporting queer people in recovery. And we do try to make it as diverse as possible to make sure that each fellowship is represented and everybody's identities are
including
allies too. And so it's great because in the end we aren't here without support of allies too. And so thanks allies. And did I roll my eyes? I don't mean to roll my eyes. Let me do that again. So we're not here without everybody. So thanks, allies. And very grateful that we have everyone that supports our community. And what's really great about, I think because Chicago's in the middle of the country, that folks come from all over to the Chicago Roundup. So last year we had about 50% Chicago locals and 50% people out of town. We're thinking that we'd love to keep it. We'd love to have more folks from out of town because everyone, y'all have your own little, everybody does recovery a little differently. I know in California, y'all clap after every single thing.
Everything.
So everyone's like, I grew up today. Yes. I'm sober 7 million years. Yay. And I keep it, and it's just so much clapping. And as someone who in my former life was a full-time actor, I'm like, oh my God, I love the applause. But they not picking it up here. I keep trying.
So we just started a new meeting at No Matter What on Tuesday nights.
Okay.
It is CMA. It's called No Tea, No Shade. And so one of the things that we do in LA is we give cakes for sober milestones, and we do that at the No Matter What Tuesday night meeting.
Oh, I love cake.
Birthdays.
Yeah. I'm food motivated. Yes. Thank you.
For the roundup. So if people want more information, they can go to
www.chicagoroundup.org.
And do you allow people to volunteer last minute, or is there a sign up form?
There will be. There's a button on the website that says, volunteer here. There's a button that you could actually just buy a scholarship. You can apply for a scholarship if you can't afford the registration. And there's also a place that if you are so inclined and want to make your financial amends to the Chicago Roundup, we're happy to take donations at any time. And you can sponsor someone to go to the Roundup who can't afford to go. So it's really, there's lots of opportunities to be of service in many different levels. But yes, you can volunteer last minute. Lou this year is our volunteer coordinator for the Roundup.
When I got sober, and we'll wrap up here, I service in at conventions is what helped me meet people. Like you were talking about being a greeter earlier. I was so scared to walk into the rooms of recovery, and it was being of service that helped me meet people. And to this day, 10 years later, with Tony, we're both involved in convention committees. It's literally the heartbeat of our program. Great. And I love it. Thank you so much for the service that you do.
Yes. And then I have friends from the Roundup that I worked on the Roundup, but I have friends from all over the country that I met at the Chicago Roundup and that I'm still friends with, and we're all still sober. And there's a gentleman who lives in Texas that he came to a Chicago Roundup, and he told me he was a singer, and so I took him out to sing after some of the stuff at night. And then the next time that he came back, I called him. I was like, "Are you coming? Because I'm singing this year." And he was like, "I am." I'm like, "Would you do this duet with me? Here, do the harmony." And then we did a duet at the Roundup, and it was just this beautiful moment that we both got to have. But he's from Texas. I don't see him daily, but he still sends his gratitude list to me. Marcus is his name, and I adore Marcus. So
I love it. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for joining us on the No Matter What Club.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for your hospitality.
Oh, everybody clap.
Everybody clap.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.